Is 2K done giving us patches and updates for WWE 2K22? That's the conversation we're going to have today on the show. Hey everybody, welcome to Assemble. I'm Matt. Yes, we're going to talk about 2K22 and whether or not 2K is going to continue to support the game with continuous patches and updates. We're going to look at both sides, reasons why they should continue to support it, and we're going to look at the reasons why they might not continue to support the game. But let me know in the comments your thoughts. Are they going to continue to support the game or not? First thing we're going to do is take a little look at some recent history. We're going to look at 2K19 and 2K20. See if there's any patterns of behavior in there from 2K in terms of how they support the games in the past. Now, 2K19 and 2K20 both released in October of their respective years. 2K19 released on October 9th, 2018. 2K20 released on October 22nd, 2019. When 2K19 came out, there were 3 main patches for the game, which is kind of crazy to think about because we've had a lot more in 2K22, haven't we? The game received 3 major patches with big patch notes in there. Now, I can't recall if there were hot fix patches, little tiny ones, but there are 3 that are written and listed on 2K's website itself. The first one being around December, and the last one coming in at January 22nd, 2019. In case of 2K20, they had to patch the game a lot more, with 5 patches overall, and the last one coming in at March 12th, 2020. After that, they stopped supporting the game in terms of patches and updates. Obviously, all of the DLC had been out, and this is for 2K19 and 2K20. Everything would have been done, and they moved on. In the case of 2K20, they moved on and were working on 2K21, and we know what happened there. Everything got delayed and they skipped, and then we ended up with 2K22. It's interesting that with 2K19, having the final patch in January of 2019, there was nothing all the way through to the fall when 2K20 eventually was released. The reason why I'm giving you this timeline, a little snapshot of history in terms of patches, is to try and see how much 2K has supported their games in the past, beyond the release date and when the final DLCs and content had all been delivered. I think it's important to note because it gives us a little indication and a little foresight as to a little bit of their thinking from the dev side of how long they tend to support a game before the next one is scheduled to come out. We can go all the way back to 2K18 if we want to, and the final patch for them was in January of 2018, leaving once again months upon months until the next game was going to come out in the fall. Now with 2K22, we are currently, as of this recording, we are in the month of July, and fun fact, we've already received 10 patches for 2K22. I know, it's a lot, and we still need a lot more, don't we? They changed the release date for 2K22 to go from the October season because it wasn't ready, because they needed more time to develop it and finalize stuff. Along with that, the reports out there of DLC packs needing to get revamped, Superstars being released by WWE around this time as well, impacting them to be able to release it in the October window. They subsequently pushed the release date and gave it to us in March 8th of 2022. We've been out for 5 months now with this game, and we have 10 patches already. All the DLC is now done. So a lot of people in the community online feel that the game is going to be dead in the water now. 2K is done and they are no longer going to support it. And I think a lot of the sentiment there comes out of the fact that the DLC is done, they've wrapped it up, they've made their money, they're going to start working on 2K23. So let's talk about reasons why this will be the case. Based on 2K's history with their 2K wrestling games, they have not supported the games past their final rounds of DLC. They have seemingly given us a final DLC pack, one final patch to go along with it, and they've wrapped it up and they've moved on to development of the next year's title. Argument can be made from 2K and the devs that 2K22 is in a healthier state. I know, I use that term loosely. It's not. It's got a lot of issues still. But from their perspective, they've made their money, they got the revenue, people have purchased the DLC, the season passes, it's all done, and in theory, they are already working on 2K23. They're not adding any additional content into this year's game. And from the dev side, what's the incentive of having to put more time and resources into this year's current game? They've gotten it up to a state where everything is steady and working okay. Also, we can make the argument that 2K22 is kind of a one 2.0 version of what 2K23 has potential to be. 2K22 had a lot of changes, a lot of foundational changes. They changed the controls, they added GM mode, they added My Faction. They did a lot of things differently. As a result, they had to patch the game a lot up until this point. And with the final DLC that just came out with the whole damn pack, we received what could be the final update for this game. In a fairly average, medium-sized patch, it's around 4 gigs. It didn't wow fans, and we haven't been given a large enough update that looks like we are going to be getting anything substantial in terms of fixes that the game really needs. Based on their history and based on 2K's history of supporting the previous WWE games, we can take the side and we can make the argument that this game is wrapped up and they are now going to be looking at 2K23, which is only months away. Frankly, we're at the end of July and we are staring at August. That's 8 months until the next game comes out. And if we look at their trends with previous year's games, they release what it ends up being the final patch, and there's nothing else until 8 to 9 months later, the next game comes out for the year. But there is also the possibility, and Matt stays a little bit hopeful here, that they could continue to support 2K22, and they should continue to support this year's game. So here's some of the reasons why we could argue why 2K should continue to support this year's game before they just call it quits. One of the big reasons is that it still needs a lot of support. The game is still not in the healthiest state it could be in. General fixes and bugs are still occurring. It's not like 2K19, which was a pretty polished product final game once it was all said and done. 2K22 is still dealing with issues that were happening on the launch day of the game. They have fixed a lot, yes. They have shown us that they are fixing the game, that they are trying to do what they can to improve the game, to improve stability, to fix and correct issues that have been noted by the community. And as a result, like I said, we have received 10 patches in this game, the most out of any other WWE 2K game in recent history. To me, that shows that the team cares. They identify that there is a heck of a lot of issues that need to be addressed here, and the game is not in a healthy state, hence why we have to have 10 patches already. But it shows me too that they are trying to do something different. As they say, it hits different. It does, not always in a great way, but they're trying to do better. And we should try to take the hopeful side that the devs and the team over there are trying to do better with the franchise. Now that they have re-signed with WWE, with the license, they want to be able to build this for the future and for future games. And with 8 months, 9 months to go until theoretically the next game comes out in 2K23 around the March window of release, there is a great opportunity to continue to build and patch this year's game and almost use it as a stress test and tester for things they want to do and would likely do in 2K23. That's why I always feel, and I have said it previously on the show, that I feel 2K22 is very much the foundation of what they want to add and what they want to build upon for 2K23 and beyond that. I think another strong point too is they should continue to support this year's game with patches for at least another 2 months to show the community, to show players that they are invested in it, that they hear them, that they want to continuously improve the game as long as they can up until it's time where they need to back off and they need to put in full support and resources into the next year's title. So on one hand, greedy corporation might just call it quits right now. They got their money and they'll move on and that's the end of it, and then they'll come out with next year's game. Or on the other hand, the dev team wants to continue to support this year's title. They want to make it better. And so I can also see them working on this for a few more months and then moving on to next year's game. But let me know, what do you think? Where do you stand with this? Are they going to continue to support the game or not? But also click right here, because this episode, it's all about hidden fixes since the last patch in 2K22. See ya.